welcome to episode 2 of Interviews with Blank. Today we have school board member Haley Sosebee, and today we're going to be asking her a few questions. Now, do keep in mind that what is said in executive session by the board, we are not allowed to know about, and they cannot tell us because it would be a felony. Okay, question number 1. What is the most challenging part of being on a school board?
I would say there's probably a two-part for that. One part, probably the most challenging, is just the time management. School board does have, there are times where in seasons where we meet quite a bit. I'm also a mom, and I also have a full-time job that pays. I know we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I would say for the most part, personally, it's just the time management piece and how much time it takes away and trying to juggle that with work and with family. Then probably like the role itself, the most challenging part would be realizing that while we can approve things, that things do have to go through a proper chain of command. So when we want something done, or we would love to see a new program be implemented, we can't just go meet and say, hey, let's approve a new facility. We have to ensure that the funding is behind it, and we have to ensure that we've gone through all of the proper chains of command in order to implement anything new into the schools.
Okay. Question number 2. Why are you on the board since it's unpaid?
There are approximately 2,100 sand lizards walking through our campuses and our hallways. That is the biggest why. I'm also a proud sand lizard alum, and when this opportunity kind of presented itself, I really wanted to give back to the school system that helped mold and shape me into the adult that I am today. I love being a sand lizard, and I love being able to give back to the school and the community that helped raise and grow me as a person.
Okay. Question number 3. What are your opinions, thoughts about a volleyball or a wrestling team?
Yeah. So I'm a huge athletic advocate. My son plays on 2 different of our in our sports programs. I love nothing more than going and watching our kids compete and competing at a high level. While I would love to say, hey, let's do volleyball and wrestling today, it's not as easy as that. I do believe that we have a plan in place for volleyball. We have to work with the AAA, which is the statewide organization that essentially approves for us to have these programs, and they have rules that we have to follow when we go and compete. So we do have a plan in place to implement a club volleyball program that will hopefully eventually come into a AAA sanction where we participate in a district and all of the things that we're accustomed to with like our basketball program and football and softball and such. Wrestling is super interesting too, because I feel like that's new geographically. That seems like it's always been kind of a northern type of sport,
right?
But I do know that it's picked up a lot of momentum in the South, and we don't have as many options for wrestling. But I do realize that there's a lot of popularity. It all boils down to the logistics. Can we make it work? If we can make it work, then we also have to look for funding. And so while we would love to have all of those, we also have to make decisions as a board and as an administrative team to ensure that we're not implementing a program when we don't have the resources to financially back it, that will also help ensure that it's a successful program.
Okay, question number 4. How long have you been on the board?
I am in my 2nd term as a school board member, so I believe this is year 6 that I'm in. They are 5-year terms, and I've completed my 1st year, and then was reappointed to the board in 2000, I believe it was 2023, so last year.
So obviously, with being a bigger board, it's supposed to be comprised of at least 5 members. There is obviously going to be conflicts that arise. So in your personal opinion, how does the board handle conflicts between members?
So that is kind of the beauty of having a school board, is you have 5 different people from 5 different districts. Ultimately, I know that I serve with 4 other members that love Dardanelle just as much as I do and love our kids. when there are situations that do arise that we may not all agree upon and we may not see in the same light, at the end of the day, when we can take a step back and realizing that we're all in this for the 2,100 kids walking our campuses, then ultimately that's how we're able to move forward and how we're able to grow and hopefully provide a better Dardanelle for our community.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about being a sand lizard?
Oh, goodness. My favorite thing is probably how close knit the community is, how close knit the school district is, because obviously Mr. Jerry Don Woods, that was here last week with us, is my papa. He's my grandpa. My stepdad is Coach Ernest, so I obviously have family here. And just being able to see how well Dardanelle works with families in the district and how well that we can accommodate big families like that, I love. I also love how Dardanelle tries to do things not only for the majority, but for the minority. So the people who are not as fortunate or don't have as supported households are able to come to school and get the support that they need. Do you have any other questions?
That's a great answer. I do love seeing generational sand lizards. I know your family's a generational sand lizard as well as mine, but I do love that as Dardanelle has grown, we've grown, just overall, we have such a diverse population, not just when it comes to, that's anywhere from socioeconomical status to, then of course, we have so much diversity in our district, and it does seem like everybody has always, intermingled and got along, and I love that community piece where it doesn't matter if you've been here for 100 years or your family has been, or if you're a brand new sand lizard, you're still a sand lizard and support it.
Okay. All right, you heard it here first, folks. We'll be back next week with board member Josh Buchanan. Off and then turn the other one back on. I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you want it to be bright, you turn out gold. Oh, I don't want it to be bright.